Hey, Obscure Edge here. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 Resident Evil titles. I don't want to drag this video on too long, so I'm going to go into small details about each game and why I like them, so let's get right into this, starting with number 5. With the Resident Evil Outbreaks, I'm classifying these as one game on my list, as they were both short games on their own. The interesting feature about these games was that they were online, allowing you to play with other players through each scenario. You had a choice of 8 different survivors, which all of them had their own special skill and item. An example being, if you played as Alyssa the Reporter, she would come with a lockpick as her item to help you unlock some of the doors in each scenario. Without her, you would have to use your basic melee attacks or weapons to damage the doors to get them to open. As for her skill, it was a backstep, allowing you to get away from enemies faster than turning around and running. This really made you think on who you wanted to pick, depending on each scenario you played and who best suited your playstyle. This game also holds a lot of nostalgia for me, as I played it as a kid from release online, and to be playing it again online due to the fan-made servers is just amazing. Just like any Resident Evil, the Outbreaks focused on survival and puzzles. Difference being you didn't have to do it all alone. This made each playthrough different, giving it loads of replay value. You could have a game where everyone knows what they were doing and have it go as smooth as butter. Then your next game you could get paired with average or new players who would end up using all the items in a scenario or needing your help to survive. Besides just players making every playthrough different, so did the difficulties. From different item spawns to different enemies, altogether this always kept you on your toes. The Outbreaks brought something new to the table, and that was teamwork. Sure, you could be a lone wolf and do the scenario solo and make it out alive, but where was the fun in that, eh? Damn Kevin, go boys. But anyways, because this was the early stages of when online became a thing, you were able to use a keyboard connected to your PS2 by USB to type in the pre-game lobby, but within game you had to use voice quotes to call players names or to tell them to do something. Sounds crazy in this day and age, but back in that time, it worked pretty well. There was also plenty of variety when it came to weapons, whether it was something you found or crafted yourself. Besides just 8 characters, you were able to unlock NPC skins for set characters. So say I wanted to play Mark, but didn't want his basic skin. I could change to say Marvin, which would carry on Mark's skill and item. These are just some of the many reasons why I loved and still love the Outbreaks, and why I continue to play them to this very day. Number 4, Resident Evil Remake. I remember getting this for Christmas from my mom along with Resident Evil 0. This is a brilliant example of a remake and a great game. Survival horror at its best. From sound to gameplay, everything was just spot on. The mansion where this game takes place is very nice looking, and you can really see the craftsmanship and appreciate the work that was put into designing it. The original PS1 version I found hard to navigate, but with the remake it was more fluid to me, and was easier to know where I was going and where I just was. Depending on who you played, Chris or Jill, you would start with different items and do different but similar things in the mansion. If you played Chris, you would get 2 extra inventory spaces and start with a lighter. Jill would start with a pistol and soon later get the lockpick. Both had different health pools, and most would say Jill has the easier storyline, which I would agree with because you have Barry helping you through some of the game. Also, besides the lighter, Chris also had a survival knife, which was a lot stronger than the one you could find later in the game. The storyline for Remake I felt was well constructed and really made me care about the people in the game. If you haven't played this, I highly recommend picking it up on Steam and getting the HD remaster version, worth every penny. Inventory in this game was the same as all Resident Evils, which was boxes, but this had something very cool to make it more difficult and more realistic. It allowed you to turn off the connection between the boxes, which meant if I put bullets in one box, I couldn't go to a different one and get them out. I'd have to return to the same box to retrieve them, which made things a lot more harder. Keeping it short and sweet, now let's move on to number 3, which is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Resident Evil 3. From dodge mechanic to crafting your own ammo, this brought a lot of different gameplay to the series. If you were able to master the dodge mechanic in this game, it would allow you to preserve ammo and health for the moments you really truly needed it. To do the dodge, all you had to do was click the aim button at the correct time an enemy was near. Whether it was behind you or in front of you, Jill would give it a good tackle and give you a moment to breathe or run. From pretty much the start of the game, they stick Nemesis on you like a wild dog, keeping the tension high and your mind on the go. This made you have to think on your feet, at least until you heard the sweet music in the save room. When making ammo, you really had to think what you needed, and sometimes could cost you reloading the game. What I mean by that is, if you made 100 pistol rounds and ran into a boss or bigger threats like the hunters, the pistol might kill them, but that's if you're good enough to get all those shots off without dying. But say if you made shotgun shells, that could have made it easier for you and quicker for you. What I really enjoyed about RE3 was being in the center of Raccoon City and walking the streets. Plus, visiting the police station in a different state than Leon and Claire did was a really nice touch. Resident Evil 3 also has one of my favorite minigames in the series, Operation Mad Jackal. This allowed you to play as 3 of the UBCS members, Mikhail, Carlos, and Nikolai. Not only does this mode have tons of replay value because it is so fun, it also allowed you to earn points which could be used to unlock weapons or infinite ammo in the base game. Once again, I could go on with so many reasons to why Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is in my top 3, but we still have 2 more games to get to. I really hope Resident Evil 3 gets its well-deserved remake. Now for my number 2 slot, Resident Evil 2 on PS1. This game was always tied for my top Resident Evil when I was a kid against Resident Evil 3. What pretty much broke this tie as I got older came down to being able to play as the Force Survivor, or Hunk. A little Easter egg I was told when I was younger was that Hunk, besides standing for a sexy male, actually stood for Human Unit Never Killed. Not totally sure if that's true or not, if it was made up, but believed it ever since I was a kid, so figured I'd tell you guys and see if anyone else ever heard that. Besides nostalgia, RE2, believe it or not, always made me want to become a police officer as a kid. And maybe someday I will fulfill that dream. The idea of Leon to me just proved it didn't matter how young you were or what obstacle got in your way, if you put your mind to it, it could be done. It's a little weird to learn a life lesson from a game, but that just made me more attached to his character and the others within Resident Evil 2. What I also found out later when I was older, that Allison Court from The Big Comfy Couch was the voice actress of Claire Redfield, so I got to grow up with her twice, which was quite cool. Okay, enough with my childhood memories. What makes Resident Evil 2 so great for it to be in my top 3 is because of how much game you got for the price. What I mean by this is, for your first playthrough, it could bring you hours of entertainment. And then you still had 3 more scenarios to get to, like the B-sides or the other A-side of the person you didn't play first. This allowed you to have so much replay value, plus not even including the minigames like the Force Survivor and Mr. Tofu. Another thing to note, Resident Evil 2 was actually the first Resident Evil game I ever beaten. I did play Resident Evil 1 before 2, but I never completed it because I was quite young when I started these, and I didn't really know how to read, and I didn't really care about reading. So I didn't really get too far in the PS1 version of Resident Evil. So I actually beat Resident Evil 2, and then once I kind of understood a bit more, I went back and was able to then complete Resident Evil 1, which I know is quite weird to do it the opposite way around, but as a kid, that's just how I did it. What it comes down to, Resident Evil 2 had pretty much everything in a video game I loved. Zombies, great story, great characters. It was survival horror at its best. It kept you on your toes. You had to really like item management everything. There was puzzles to get through the level. It wasn't just a straight shot. You had to really think, and you had to preserve your stuff to actually survive. It was just an overall amazing, great game. I feel like with Resident Evil 2, it doesn't matter how old it gets, you could still go back to it and still enjoy it for what it is. I've tried to revisit games from my childhood, and it's not the same thing. Like, for instance, like The Grinch on PS1. Game used to piss me off as a kid, and it fucking served me better as a memory than it did going back and playing it. But with Resident Evil 2, I could go back to it and enjoy everything. There's nothing I dislike, not even the voice acting. Everything was just crisp and spot on, and you just can't fault a game like this at all. Alright, the moment you guys been waiting for. My number 1 on my list. What could be better than Resident Evil 2? Resident Evil 2 Remake, of course, earns its number 1 spot on my top 5. Resident Evil 2 earned its top spot because it's what a remake should be. It's honestly so incredible in every way, from the sound effects, the music, bringing back the old outfits even, the old sound effects for the people like me that want that little nostalgia feel in a new game. It was just brilliant. And with the free content that like elaborated on characters like Kendo or the mayor's daughter, it gives you just more background story, and it was just extra content that was free. And speaking of free content, there might be more to come, because on Steam there's a hidden achievement right now, and no one knows what it could be. I'm personally hoping it's like a Marvin DLC. I thought in my own head that it would be really cool if you played as Marvin before Leon and Claire arrived at the police station. See how he got bit, see the downfall of the police station. Reading the memos, you could see kind of like how the story kind of progressed there and what actually happened at the police station before Leon and Claire. But to have a DLC kind of just have it all in one little lump sum, I think it would be brilliant. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I'm hoping for. Another thing that I loved about Resident Evil 2, that it was done on their RE engine. It was brilliant. I love that engine in RE7. Even though RE7 was first person, that engine worked brilliantly, and then they went and did the whole third person over the shoulder with the same engine, and once again it works great. The inventory system is spot on. It was just properly done, and I'm just so happy that they reused their engine for this game as well. And Resident Evil 2 Remake has everything that RE1 did. You could play through all 4 scenarios. You still have Hunk. You still have Tofu. You actually have more Tofus to choose from, plus the extra DLC. So, once again, it was worth your money because of the replay value. Though when the remake was announced and I heard Allison Court wasn't going to be the voice actress for Claire Redfield, I was quite gutted. Even though I am more than satisfied with who voice acted it, I would have loved to still see her do the part, and I wouldn't have mind kind of just seeing her kind of do a couple lines to see what it would have been like. If I had to say anything else I disliked or didn't enjoy as much in the game was probably Ada's part when you're playing as Leon. The whole destroying the fans with this electric kind of, I don't even know what it is, drill gun, and her choice of pistol I found quite weird as well. But that was the only thing I would say that I didn't fully enjoy. I think could have been done a little bit differently. But other than that, everything else was spot on, and I loved it. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up my Resident Evil Top 5 video. If you guys could go ahead and do me a favor and put in the comment section below what your Resident Evil Top 5 is. I wouldn't mind comparing my list to your guys' list. Obviously there is no official list here guys. It's all your own preference, and yeah, so no one could really take that away from you. But I would like to compare mine to other people's, saying that my buddy Sim also did a video, which I'll put a link in the description below, showing his top 5 so you could compare his to mine and compare his to yours. And yeah. So if you enjoyed this video guys, make sure to smash that like button. Let me know in the comments below that you like this content, because I know a lot of people love my Resident Evil Outbreak Cops and Resident Evil Outbreak Firefighters kind of background videos, and they're doing really well. So let me know what you guys want to see. I know lately I haven't been putting a lot of stuff on YouTube, but keep in mind I'm live streaming on Twitch guys, so I'll put the link in the description below. Make sure to come follow me. But in the meantime, put in the comment section below your top 5 Resident Evil games and what you want to expect from my channel to the closing year, and what you would like to see in the upcoming new year. So thanks for watching guys, and until next time, happy gaming. I'll see you on the next one.